That brings us to item number 12, which is our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Gant. Board members, as Mr. Gant said earlier, it's been a celebratory day across the District 5 as we've honored our vets. Our veterans have been appreciated and have been celebrated in such unique personal ways that I'd just like to pause to thank all the district administration, all the school administration, all the volunteers and the parents who participated, and most importantly, our students, because they have certainly worked very hard to recognize our veterans in appropriate ways. So thanks to our students for their part of all the recognitions that we've had. Last Thursday, we held our 6th annual Magnet Fair. This is our 6th year of having these twice-a-year events. Have drawn nearly 300 people, so we just continue to attract visitors to District 5. Some that are considering moving here, some that are already here looking for experiences for next year, some with decisions to make. We have 14 magnet programs at 11 sites, and for the first time we held a VIP hour inviting in our business advisory and our realtor advisory so that they could be involved with understanding and having direct interaction with our sites so that they could better understand the programs in which we offer. And based on Ms. Goggins' collection of data, we've all received favorable results of all these visitors from our superintendent's advisory meetings. Next week is American Education Week. We invite the board and our community to make sure we pause to thank everyone involved with our educational efforts across School District 5. It is a national observance across the country. We want to make sure District 5 has a celebration of every contributor to our American education success here in School District 5. We do have a variety of reports this evening. Our first one is from Mr. Richardson from our Office of Finance. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Dr. Melton, members of the board. Exhibit C, we have monthly financial statements for September, which means we're, according to this, 25% through the year is at the end of September. Revenue for the month was $6,555,276. Year-to-date, $21,138,522. Expenditures through September were $15,692,154. Year-to-date, we expended $31,279,116 out of our $794,553 expenditure budget. We currently have $164,515,437 remaining. That concludes our report, but I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any on this side.
Question, Mr. Lovelace.
Mr. Richardson, so this doesn't include the capital improvement budget, right?
This is strictly general fund.
Just general funds. So did we get an update on the capital improvement expenditures, the 500 series?
Yes, sir, we do. We typically do that about, although we have a schedule, typically about every 3 to 4 months, we try to update the board on that. That will be coming in January.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question?
Next, from the Office of Planning and Administration, Dr. Harris has an item regarding online testing waivers. Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Melton, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity just to talk just a moment about an online testing waiver request. We'd like to share with you as well as our community just a bit about that. And by way of reminder that the Education Accountability does require SC rating and SC pass tests to be administered online during the last 20 days of the district's calendar. However, this year, through a memorandum from the State Department of Education, there's some new requirements for paper testing for SC Ready as well as SC Pass, and that came in a memorandum in September. Essentially what that simply says is to us is that beginning 2020 or the spring of 2020, that all the paper tests for SC Ready and SC Pass must be completed within the first 10 days of the 20-day window that we just shared with you. By doing this, that ensures that the South Carolina Department of Education meets its deadlines for posting of report cards for various districts here in South Carolina. It also indicates that districts must provide some assurances that the paper test, in fact, will occur within the first 10 days. And I'm happy to share that we've surveyed our schools, and we feel very certain here in District 5 that we are already testing within the first 10 days. So we feel overwhelmingly certain that we'll be able to meet that requirement in the spring of 2020. So with that in mind, in terms of new requirements and in terms we'd like to recommend and bring them forward to you. Online testing waiver request for SC Ready, the ELA portion of that, which is appropriate for grades 3, 4, and 5, as well as a request for waiver online testing for other, which are assessments given to those students who are homebound or medically homebound on home-based instruction. This is very similar to what we've done in the past year, and in fact we have done in previous years. This is the state's 4th year in making these provision available to districts across South Carolina. I've listed for you by way of memorandums reasons for that, and just to simply again, we want to make certain that the students are testing in accordance to how they're learning, as well as we are uncertain that we can provide availability or even the reliability of internet for those students who are at home, who are homebound or home-based instruction. Yet one other new requirement is that we no longer require, the state no longer requires those handwritten signatures of support from our board and superintendent, but instead it does suggest that we duly share and inform our board of any plans of action to move forward with requests for online testing waivers, and that there's an electronic signature. So we will simply download that tomorrow, should you approve this, and we will be able to sign off on that electronically. Again, this is the 4th year that we've done this. The state's made it available. We want to take advantage of that again this year so that we can make certain that our students in grades 3, 4, and 5 are producing and performing well as they have in the past, but certainly doing so in the spring of 2020. Thank you.
Mr. Cates.
Dr. Harris, thank you for bringing this forward, and I just hope we'll continue as long as we are able to seek this waiver, not because I don't believe in the technology. Obviously, I use technology, and I'm glad that when appropriate our students are as well. I think we need to be in the ears of our elected officials to say that it's just not appropriate for a 3rd grader to take a high-stakes test. Are we testing their English and language arts ability, or are we testing their ability to manipulate a device? And it feels like when we do that 3rd grade testing specifically on a device, we're more, my assessment is that's more about their ability to manipulate the device and less about their creativity and ability to answer the prompts. So I appreciate that we're bringing this forward and want the community to know that it's just a question of appropriateness for a 3rd grader and the online part of that. Thank you.
Ms. Hammond.
How many years have we requested the waiver?
The waiver has been available. Provisions have been made by the State Department 4 years, and we have taken advantage of that for some of the reasons we just heard for 4 years.
Is it just the concern, like Mr. Cates just explained, is it mainly 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades? And then do our older kids take it online, or do we ask for the waiver with all ages?
Yeah, the waiver is only specific to, in this case, SC Ready and the ELA portion of that for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. All of them will be online testing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gant. Thank you, Dr. Harris. Our next report is from the Office of Instruction, the Career Technical Education Opportunities. Mr. Giuliano.
Thank you, Dr. Milton, members of the board. We have a report tonight on our career and technical education opportunities here in School District 5 at the center and at our other schools as well. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Al Gates, the director of the center, and he is going to share with you a presentation on the opportunities here in School District 5. Dr. Gates.
Chairman Yant, members of the board, Dr. Melton, and executive staff, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about career and technical education in School District 5. I feel like I should be saying, welcome to the center. Welcome. The mission of career and technical education in School District 5 is to empower all students with the knowledge and career skills to make them successful in a dynamic global society. Our vision is that all students will find the intersection of their passion, their purpose, and professional opportunities. We work to assist Dr. Melton in meeting her priorities. CTE programming demonstrates attainment of world-class skills by providing students the opportunity to earn industry-recognized credentials while in our programs. We also are preparing students to be contributing members of society by providing the knowledge and skills and attitudes necessary to be successful in post-secondary education, whether that is going directly to work, going to a 2-year school, a 4-year school, or into the military. Because technology is constantly changing, we must constantly look at what we're doing and make improvements to make sure we are preparing students for mid-21st century jobs. We focus what we do on the profile of the South Carolina graduate. School District 5 does an excellent job preparing students with world-class knowledge that's demonstrated over and over and over again in our performance on any type of assessment. Career and technical education uses that knowledge, that skill, and those world-class knowledge that students learn to help them develop the world-class skills and life and career characteristics of a high school graduate. The quality components of a career and technical program take career development through programs of study and partnerships with businesses and industries to develop programs that demonstrate or help students develop academic and technical skills through the opportunity to have work-based learning, which could be a field study at a work site, could be a guest speaker from the work site, could be a short internship, or actually an entire year working at a work site. We also offer the opportunity to learn leadership and 21st century skills through career and technical student organizations. Our programming is defined by state and federal legislation. In South Carolina, the leading piece of legislation that tells us what to do is the Education and Economic Development Act. We also have guidelines from Perkins. Recently, the Congress passed Perkins 5. Perkins 5 specifically says that we must also address ESSA, IDEA, and WIO. So everything that we do in career and technical education is determined by state and federal guidelines. There are a number of federal, state, and regional organizations that assist us in determining what mid-21st century jobs will be, what is needed for students to be successful if they go to work, to a 2-year school, or a 4-year school, and the military. The National Association of State Directors of Career and Technical Education have developed 16 career clusters. So if you think of all the thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs, they have taken all of those jobs and put them in 16 groups. So a career cluster is a grouping of occupations and broad industries based on commonalities. Expectations at the career cluster level represent the skills, knowledge, and academic and technical knowledge that all students within that career cluster should achieve regardless of their pathway. So these clusters focus on skills and knowledge that are necessary whether you're going to a 2-year school, 4-year school, or whether you work. There are 79 career pathways within these 16 clusters. School District 5 has taken those 16 clusters and placed them in 4 schools of study. So when you're on the stage when kids graduate, there are 4 banners behind you that have those colors, and students wear stoles of different colors. That tells you the major or the school of study that they were in. The black majors on here. So the 16 clusters you see are capitalized under each of the schools of study. The black majors are offered in our high schools, and the majors that are in blue are offered at the center. Currently, in this school year, 75% of high school students are in a career and technical class. Now, we're going to go back a year. So in 2018, 100% of students who completed their CTE major, whether that was 3 courses or 4 courses, graduated from high school. So that's a 100% graduation rate for students who completed their CTE major. We have to go back another year. So in 2017, of the students who completed their major and graduated in 2017, 81% of those went on to attend a 2-year or 4-year college, 12% went to work, and 4% entered the military. One of the really great things about career and technical education is the opportunity for students to earn, while they're in high school, an industry-recognized credential, which is a test given by industries to determine a person's ability to do a particular job. Students who earn these credentials, if they choose to go directly to work, quite often are hired at a higher rate of pay. If they don't choose to go to work, if they go on to study at a 2-year or 4-year school, these credentials might offer them the ability to achieve advanced standing, so they can start in the 2nd or 3rd semester of a technical class. So, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures. These are students in health occupations, either at Irmo High School, Dutch Fork High School, Chapin High School, or Spring Hill High School. And please notice that in most of these pictures, students are learning by doing. These are students in agricultural science at the center. By the way, our poinsettia is almost ready for you to buy Monday after Thanksgiving. These are students in auto collision at Irmo High School. These are students in automotive technology at Dutch Fork High School. That is our new Corvette up there, candy red, and they won't let me drive it. These are students in networking and cybersecurity. These are students in electrical technology. Students in clean energy technology. These are students in cosmetology at Irmo High School. And these students, if they, after 2 years, pass the state licensing exam, they can open their own boutique, if they so choose. We advise them to work for somebody else first. These are students in fire and rescue, students in law enforcement, and that is not a student that's being bitten by the dog. That's a deputy that is demonstrating. These are students in machine technology. These are students in engineering technology or biomedical engineering. These are students in building construction. One of the great advantages that career and technical education offers students is the ability to participate in the career and technical student organization. We have HOSA, which is Future Health Professionals in all of our high schools and the center. Skills USA is at the center. DECA is in the high schools. FFA is at the center. TSA is in the high schools and the center. FCCLA is at Irmo High School. And FBLA is at all 4 high schools. We're very proud that 4 state officers are either currently students in career and technical education in School District 5 or graduates. So Savannah is a student at Dutch Fork High School, and she is the state president of Skills USA. Kelsey is a senior at Spring Hill High School, and she is the state reporter for HOSA. And Kylie is a freshman at Clemson University, a graduate of Spring Hill High School, and she is the president of the state FFA chapter. So,
Thank you, Dr. Gates. At that time, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those questions for you.
Ms. Hammond.
On the slide that I think you said the blue, I don't have a page, yeah, it's page 5. The blue is at the Career Center, but are all the other career clusters offered at all high schools?
No, ma'am, and not all of those are CTE classes. So that's the school district's curriculum framework. So if a student, for example, an IB student at Thermal High School, the IB diploma program is very, very specific about what students have to take. So they generally don't have the opportunity to take career and technical education classes. So they do complete a high school major. So, all right, here's an example. Your thumb is a finger, so all thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs. All CTE programs are majors, but not all majors are CTE programs. So if a student was really interested in, like, pre-medicine, and they decided, well, I'm going to take AP Biology and AP Chemistry and AP Psychology and AP Physics, they probably would not have time to take a CTE class. They would complete their high school major as pre-medicine or medicine, but they would not be a CTE major. There are classes that are offered at Irma High School that are not offered in any of the other high schools. And there are some programs that are offered in Irma Dutch Fork and Chapin that are not offered at Spring Hill. And that was by design when Spring Hill opened because of their proximity to the center. They do not offer all 4 years of engineering.
Do you feel like our student population, that there is equity if I were at Irma High and I wanted something that wasn't offered there? Or if, I mean, I guess I'm saying, do they get their information, say before, do we still do the middle school thing where they can, I know this was a few years ago, but in middle school they would try to get them to actually say a career path, and then it went with them to high school? So I'm just thinking the way this works, I mean, it's awesome. I just want to think that the high schools are all equitable. You know, like,
Yes,
there's something there for each one to follow the career path that they choose in middle school. That's the question.
You go personnel, Holly.
Yes, ma'am. We, during the month of October, every 8th grader in the school district came to the center for a tour. So they saw all of the programs at the center. And then we told them about the programs that are available to them in their high schools and the programs that are available at Irma High School that are not in the other schools. So if a student wanted to take cosmetology or auto collision at Irma High School, there's a bus that will take them from their high school to Irma High School, just like the buses that take them from their high school to us. The only program that Irma High School does not have is engineering, and those students are given the opportunity to take engineering at the center.
That's what.
Mr. Lovis.
In tune with the Veterans Day theme, I've seen where, I don't know where I saw this, so it might have been in the Wall Street Journal or something, but there's a national push toward making sure that soldiers and sailors, Marines, and airmen, whatever, leave the service and they can get civilian jobs when they get out. And that's one of the major things that, the Department of Defense is said that the desire to have. Is there any statistic that shows that students coming out of the program such as ours here is more apt to be attuned to get, a civilian job after that? Do you know of any?
No, sir, I don't have any information about that. I can tell you that we tell students that any job that you can imagine outside of the military also exists inside the military, and that if you want to be an automotive technician in the military, our program will prepare you to be a step ahead. So if a student graduated from high school with no career and technical education background, they would give an aptitude test, and then the military would decide where they want to put them. Even though the student might say, I want to do this, the military would say, oh, well, we're going to put you over here. Students who go through a career and technical education program, if they have a certification, or if they can demonstrate that they have gained knowledge and skills about a specific career field that they're interested in, then the military is more likely to allow them to go into that field. I can tell you that we've had students at the center complete the networking and cybersecurity program, that when they went to the military and told them that, hey, I took this in high school, they gave them an advancement in their pay scale and let them skip the introductory classes.
Very good, thank you.
Ms. Carter?
I'm curious, having two children already go through the system, I call it the system, and having more coming up, do we have training in place for our 8th grade counselors, the ones that help our children kind of navigate what they're going to do for all of our programs? Because I know we do a really good job with letting people know about our magnet programs, but if, and I know how it works, they have to know now, like in 8th grade, or they don't have time in their schedule, but they decide as a junior, I might want to take an arts class of some sort at the Kate Center. You can't do that. You've got to decide to have done that way ahead. I mean, I wonder if there's cross-training, like does all of our, Dutch and Armo counselors know that they need to be teaching these kids
Yes.
now what their path
So,
is?
we, when those 8th graders come through, we tell them, the reason you're doing this tour, even though you just started, the first 9 weeks of the 8th grade just ended, we're planning your high school career. And they're like, what? So, in your early class of 2024, and some of them know that. And then I tell them you have to work until 2076. And we all kind of and then what I tell them is, you have to have a plan. You can't wait until you become a junior or senior in high school to decide what you want to do. You need to start thinking about that now. And so I tell them that very shortly they will meet with their parents and their middle school counselor to talk about the things you have done in high school that you don't have any choice about, and the opportunities that are available to you. So I share with them some really fast math. That to graduate from high school, you have to have 24 credits. 7 of those are elective. The other ones you don't have any choice about. On an 8-block schedule, that gives you an additional 8 elective credits. So if you come to high school with no credits from middle school, you have 15 elective opportunities. Anything that you take that is not required for graduation is elective. So you have to kind of think, if I want to take 3 art classes, 2 of those are going to be elective credits. If I want to take 4 science credits, 1 of those is elective. And then we talk about the opportunities available at the high school level and at the center. But really what we want them to think about is, what do you want to do? So when we talk about finding your passion, what is it that you like to do? Because if you like what you're doing, work is not work. And if you can find what you like to do and you can find somebody to pay you to do that, that's great. So every middle, in fact, the intermediate schools, middle schools and high schools all have career specialists. And some of the school counselors are also career specialists. So they have received a great deal of training about opportunities while you're in school and opportunities if you want to go to work or if you want to go to 2-year school or 4-year school or more school. We have an open house in early February that we invite all 8th and 9th grade parents to, where we go without again with parents.
Mr. Gann, if I may add a little bit to that, Ms. Gardner, I hope that helps you see some direct involvement Dr. Gates is having to be out front, to be visible, to hook the interest, but also to engage the families at an 8th and 9th grade level so that we can make sure that the students are being guided in the right direction to find that passion. But some things I like to make sure that we kind of connect the dots with. Ms. Hammond asked earlier about 8th graders. We have individualized graduation plans where each student and family sits down with a counselor and they start mapping out what courses, as you know, do you need, what's your interest going to be, that we can make those connections. Mr. Giuliano and I are involved with what's called MEBA, which is a Midlands group here on focus between connecting education and also connecting to the business community. So we work with MEBA to make sure that Becky Carter and our counselors have direct access to having those exposure of what's happening career-wise in the Midlands, what are the trends, what can we make sure that we identify. But I also applaud this board because last fiscal year we added Mr. Richardson, Mr. Giuliano, Dr. Jakes, check my memory, I believe it was 3 or 4 FTEs for career specialists. I want to say 4, but I'm not confident that it's 4. Can anyone catch my memory?
I believe it was 4, Dr. Melton.
Okay.
Correct.
We've added additional FTEs. We need to check that and get back with you all, because we know that we need to have the career specialist accessible to our students, accessible to our families, and making that guidance, because sometimes students just simply don't know what's out there. So it's up to us to expose them and help them ignite their interests. Dr. Gates uses a scare tactic of how many years and what kind of salary by that look that he has, but it certainly gets the attention, and that's what works successfully with students at the middle level, and it helps us get them on this more successful trajectory at a much sooner age. So, Dr. Gates, we applaud your visibility, your directive leadership, and the way that you're repurposing this with your vision to connect directly with our students. Mr. Gant, thank you for letting me have that insertion before we finalize the questions.
Ms. Hutchinson, I think, had a question also.
Well, actually, I think that we need to celebrate, on page 5, there was a chart where, Mr. Gates pointed out that 75% of our high school students are participating in these CTE courses, and then even more significant is the fact that 100%, we have a 100% graduation rate for students who are completing the CTE program, which is a wonderful thing. I think we should all be very proud of that, and appreciate all of the work that all of our staff members do to support these students, to encourage them. And obviously it's working, because we're at 100%. It does set the bar quite high, but I have full confidence that we'll continue to do that. So thank you, Mr. Gates, and for all of Dr. Giuliano and all who support those programs, and all the teachers who are involved, because that's success. Thank you.
And I had one follow-up also. Mr. Lovelace had mentioned our military theme today, obviously, and talked about jobs coming out of the military, but I'm not sure who all got to attend this last year, but we had an admiral. The admiral was in hearing distance from me. I've forgotten his last name, but I know his rank, and it was way up there. But he was a South Carolina native, and he visited several schools in our state, but several in South Carolina. He spoke last November at Chapin High School, and he was absolutely impressed with our science and technology programs. And he encouraged those students, so of course some of those students were, this was at ROTC at Chapin, but some of them were headed to a lot of great things, but he talked about the many opportunities in the Navy actively recruiting people with the skill sets that we're trying to train through the certification programs. But I thought it was amazing. So it's a two-way street. I have a neighbor who learned nuclear energy in the Navy, works at the VC summer plant, has been there for years and years. So I thought what the Admiral talked about, our students and the programs that he saw that day, I was blown away. And he was actively recruiting that day, actively talking. Ms. Hammond.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I was thinking, I got two questions that came up from something Dr. Melton said. The career specialists that we have before, are they is that like teaching a certain career field, or is it like what the legislature put in and we have at each school? It's like and I'd like to know their title. It's like career, it's not specialist.
We're using career specialists as our title. It has changed by the states. I'm gonna let Dr. Jakes and Mr.
I'd like
Leon
to
weigh on
know
this,
that.
because job titles do change, but as legislation changes, of course. So, Dr. Jakes.
The current title is career specialist, and Mr. Giuliano, you may be able to tell more about that transition from one position to the other.
You may recall the Career Development Facilitator, the CDF, and that's changed into the Career Specialist. So they changed the title, they changed the name, but it's a similar position. So those career specialists that we have in all of our intermediate, middle, and high schools work closely with the school counseling department, but then they also work closely with Becky Carter, who's housed at the center, and through MEBA, like Dr. Melton mentioned. And they go through training, specialized training, to make sure they stay up to date and current on the current trends and practices and careers throughout the area, and then throughout other places that students may want to travel and work to as well. But they have a lot of training that they're required to do every year, and that's a requirement to make sure they stay up to date and certified in the position that they are.
So they don't really go in the classroom and promote a career, like say through social studies. They are more working with the counselor, and kids go to them for guidance. about their career?
Yeah, so absolutely. They're not going to be teaching a class necessarily. They can certainly go into a class and support teachers or support instruction that may be based around careers, but they're really trying to seek opportunities for students and help point them in the right direction for whatever their
Take them
next
on
path
field
may
trips,
be.
so they do some of that where they can go and see a certain career in action.
Absolutely. They try to get them with internship, work-based learning experiences, and other experiences too that they can tie the students to.
Are all those eighth grade, or they might be high school?
Middle school and high school.
And then I had one question from Dr. Gates' table. You were talking about we do have the bus, like if people from any school that wants to go to the Cape Center for a certain, career path. Do we have equal number of students from each high school that do opt to go to the center for, or is it one high school?
We provide the same number of seats to each high school. So if a class has 24 students, each school will get 6 seats in that class, right?
So you divide it up by the school.
Right, so Irmo High School, Dutch Fork, Chapin, and Spring Hill all get the same number of seats. If they don't use all of their seats, each school has a waiting list. And after school is out early in June, we let the counseling office in each school know we have this many seats available. So if we had 21 students in our new tech, we would say, okay, we have 3 extra seats in this section. Send us your waiting list, and then it is a first come, first served by the list of students. So the center does not choose who comes to the center, the school chooses who comes to the center, and they all have the same number of seats.
Okay, I just wanted to see the equity among the high schools.
Mr. Levis?
So that weights more, excuse me. So that means that we're weighting the average or the number of seats toward the smaller high school to get more people in. If you're gonna do it, if you got 4 high schools and one of them smaller than the other one, then they get more representation than the larger high school. So we've got one high school that's what, how many students at Spring Hill? And we got one that has,
16.
almost 1,700, but they get the same number. So that means that the larger high school is gonna get fewer people in there than the small one. And that doesn't seem right to me.
Well, I understand why you feel it doesn't seem right, because statistically it doesn't calculate the same, but so far the system has worked, where we have used our waiting list and filled seats were available, and then of course for the smaller high school, of Irmo High School, having the IBCP program, which is online now, those students have a competitive opportunities that is not available at other schools. So that may sometimes attract Irmo kids into those courses, which frees up additional seats at the center. So far, unless something has happened recently, Mr. Giuliani may want to weigh in as with Dr. Gates on this. We've not heard concerns from parents or from counselors or from principals that the division of the seats has not worked successfully. Dr. Gates, anything that you'd like to add to that, or Mr. G?
At this point, we have not had any student request a class that we were not able to meet. But as we get bigger, we might decide to go by allocation by population size.
I think it's important to note the class isn't offered once. The class is offered multiple times. So that may help with some of the statistical concerns that you may have of 6 seats, for example, for the entire school to get in. That's not the case.
There are at least 12 seats in first-year programs. Some programs have 24 seats for the first year, depending on how many teachers and how many sections.
If I could just add to that also, Dutch Fork High School has the STEM program, which I know you're familiar with, and I believe that's expanded this year. Is that correct in saying that it's expanded? So we have seen an increase in students there, so that might help balance it out too. That's a very popular program, very successful.
Mr.
Ms.
Kent? Ms. Hutchinson's question made me think, or statement made me think, does the IB program possibly do the same thing, like you're talking about the STEMS program, but the IB is very, it's distinct of what they have to take. So that may limit them to, having the time or the space to go.
It may be a good report that we offer an update on IBCP.
I would like that.
Mr. Giuliano, if you'd make note of that. IBCP is in its first year. It is very, we're getting it off the ground with partnership between the center and Irmo High School. And one of the local stations did a recent report. Was it WLTX did a report on that through Street Squad, if I'm not mistaken. And we're trying to make sure that we're making it visible. That was one of interest last week at the Magnet Fair. Parents wanted to go and see, and had a new family as they were exiting said, when we came, we thought we were going to choose school ABC. I'm making that up so that I'm not revealing their choice. But now we've got a tough decision because now we have da-da-da. So that's what we want to have. We want to make sure that we offer an exposure of programs and make it a tough choice for families to know that we say every choice is a great choice because we mean it. So yes, ma'am, the IBCP was created because originally IB kept students at Irmo High School where there wasn't the scheduling flexibility to come to the center to take a course, and we heard that was a concern. So because of that concern, we then created IBCP to guarantee the experience at the center so that we could make sure it becomes a part of the student's schedule, that they're required to go to the center rather than the requirement to stay at Irmo High School because of the course loaded, the rigorous coursework that IB expects for a student to be in that program. So let us give it, if it's the will of the board, we'd like to make sure that we offer that to be an update, Mr. Gant, to the board, if that is the will of the board of interest. All right, I see heads nodding, so Mr. G, if you'll make note of that, we will give an update on that soon. I can't say be next meeting, but soon. Dr. Gates, thank you for your presentation, for the success rate that you and the staff and all the support from all of our high schools that contribute to the success of the center. We applaud each and every one of the contributions that go into that. If you all would join me, let's offer a round of applause for Dr. Gates. Mr. Gann, that completes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Melton.